Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, June 4th. Can you believe we are halfway through the year? Wow, it is just going by in the blink of an eye. I am Jen Neitzel, your co-host, along with the GOAT herself, Laura Biewer. Hi, Laura. You want to introduce yourself or
Thank you.
talk about
Hi.
yourself?
If there's anyone on the call who doesn't know me, I'm Laura Biewer, Coach Me Laura, and I'm on a mission to develop competent and confident notaries. I do that via many different ways, but one of them is a free coaching call similar to this, a little smaller on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. every Saturday. And it's an hour where we can bring questions and really dive into them pretty deeply because we're a smaller group and we have time to do that. So bring your questions to me there if you'd like some free coaching. The other thing is that I have two different things for specialty work. One is Laura Biewer Presents, known as LBP, and that's a video library. And you can watch what kinds of specialties are available and how to get into them. And of course, if you'd rather read a book, you can get Beyond Loan Signings, and that's available on Amazon. And
Mm.
thank you for being here today.
Yeah, if you guys have not read, sorry, I just got
You're good.
iced. If you've not read Beyond Loan Signings, I strongly encourage you to go get that book. It is wonderfully written and it really highlights all the different ways that notaries can make money aside from just focusing on loan signings as we had done for so many years in the past. And I love that the tide is changing there. I do just want to remind everybody how this call works. It's kind of like an old-fashioned call-in radio show. If you have questions for us and no questions are off limits, please just raise your virtual hand. You can find that at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are having difficulty locating it, look in the button that says reactions or hover over the button that says more with the three little dots over it and click on that and you will see a raise hand function there if it's not in your reactions. I also want to remind everybody, I know that a lot of you have so many products and services that you are offering to the notary community and beyond. And Laura and I absolutely want to promote those things. In fact, we have a vehicle to do just that, and it's called Innovator Spotlight. That is the only place that we source products and services that we advertise on this call. So if you are interested in joining the Innovator Spotlight because you have a product or service, you do have to be a notary business builder, and the information is in the link for you to check that out. We do not take a cut of your profit. We simply want to help you promote your business. And one of the ways we do that is by talking to you guys, all of you amazing notaries across the country, about the different products that are highlighted on Innovator Spotlight. And today, I want to tell you about something super cool. It is called the Notary Calendar, and it was created by notary business builder Tony Benson. It is a proactive scheduling engine that builds drive times around your appointments on your calendar. So when an end user, say an estate planning attorney or one of your general public customers is booking you, the system, the notary calendar, will show only your true time slots that are open because it builds in the drive time around them. The system also knows how far you're driving and automatically calculates a travel fee based on your desires or the laws in your state. All you have to do is add how much you charge per mile into your notary calendar profile, and the system automatically calculates and displays your travel fee to your clients. If you want to check this super cool innovation out, there is information for you in the chat box at notarycalendar.com. Okay, now, who has some questions for us, guys? Please raise your virtual hands or I'm just going to sit here and talk to you about a bunch of products. Val Demetria, tell us where you're calling from and what your question is today.
I'm calling from California, and my question is in reference to a signing company that I work with. I did a signing, um, didn't get paid for it, so I have been trying to contact them through, emails, no response for 3 weeks. I've been trying to call them, no response, always get a voicemail, no call back. So now this has been 3 weeks. The invoice is over 70 days old. Okay. So I feel like I was really patient, I was really calm, whatever. So on the order, it had the title company. So I contacted the title company and told them that I'm unable to get in contact with the signing company if they knew if there was any problem, whatever, whatever. And I told them in reference to the order. So uh so they said they had paid these people like weeks or months ago. So anyway, so I just continued to contact the signing company, still no answer whatsoever. So today I called again. I finally get someone on there. Now she's upset. She said, "Are you the one that called the title company?" And I said, "Yes, I am." She's like, "Well, they told us if not to use you as a notary anymore because you called them." Now I'm like saying to myself, I don't want to work with you anyway if it takes you that long to pay me for work that I've done. And it was a full scan back on a Saturday afternoon, you know, and I'm like, I did everything I was supposed to. I scanned the full document back. I took it to the FedEx. I got your receipt. I have all of that. And I said, does it normally take you this long? Well, it's usually 45 minutes, but I don't work in accounting, so I don't know. I'm like, well, can you tell me when I'm gonna pay? Just send the invoice. I said, well, I've already sent several invoices to you. So how do I know? Are you telling me to continue to send it and now it's automatically gonna now get paid? And she's like, well, I don't work in accounting. You just have to send the invoice. So this was the first time I've spoken with an individual. And then when I sent the invoice this time, I get a response. I'm going to forward it to accounting. So when you have a signing agency like that, which is one I'm going to not work with again, am I wrong for contacting the title company?
I don't know. And Laura, I know you've got an opinion about this as well. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I mean, I do know that the title company has nothing to do with it. They've either paid their the mobile service or not, you know, the signing service or not. But that's not really about you. You've contracted with the signing service itself, not with the title company. And they probably lost that customer. You know, they probably, and that's, you know, fine. They're not paying people, but this is a problem. And this is what I really wanted to say. This is a problem happening at signing companies all over the place. And I hate it. I hate that it's happened to you, Valdemitra. And the really sad thing is I've talked to people who have waited 150 days.
Oh,
I just got payment yesterday, as a matter of fact, for a job I did on December 18th. And that wasn't even a signing service. It was a very reputable title company, and it was on a $5 million home. So everybody's feeling the pinch of not getting these loans. So Laura, what say you about Valdemetria's question?
Yeah, you know, I don't think it's wrong to contact them, even though your contract's with the signing service. They have a contract with signing services, and they need to, one, know that the notary isn't, because they know the signing service didn't do that work. They know the notary had to go do that job. Number one. Number two, I think positioning it the way you did, which is I'm just trying to find, maybe I don't have the right contact information. Maybe the signing didn't go through and nobody told me. And that's why I'm not getting paid. So getting information from the original title company, I don't see anything wrong with that. Holding them accountable is a problem because the contract isn't with them. So you can't hold them accountable
right.
or threaten them, but you certainly can get information. And I have done that. And then I will say, they've jumped on that signing service and I got paid. So, and you know what? You're right. Once I get that check, I don't really care because I'm not working for them anymore when that
Exactly.
happens. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't hesitate as long as if it was information getting, not trying to get, force them.
Right. That's all I did was let
Yeah.
them know what the situation was. And the reason I did was because this is not the first time that I've had the same problem with this signing company
Hmm.
taking so long to pay. And
Yeah.
I know it should not take over 70 days,
No.
to get paid.
What's their contract rate or time?
I
I
mean,
don't
do they
know.
tell you
60?
45 days?
She said 45 days.
Okay.
That's what she told me. I
I
said,
Mhm.
well,
will
this,
tell you this. I will say this for people to know. And if anybody was on Notary Stars last night, Ronnie answered a question in general about how long should it be taking? Why does it take 60 or 70 days for me to get my money? And what he talked about is, he gets, so many transactions and he's batching them. So every 30 days, he's collecting money from the people that owe him the money. And then he's turning around and having to pay the notaries. And that if you were at the first of the month versus you were at the 29th or 30th of the month, your time frame will be shorter or longer for
Mhm.
that. And then he said, sometimes I don't get paid in 30 days. I get paid in 45 days, but now I still have to reconcile all of that and get checks out. So that means sometimes it could be the 50 to 60-day window because the cycle of getting paid for some of these jobs is so long. And so that's why they have a policy of saying, look, it's going to be 45 days. However, they reserve the right to extend that 60 days or more if there's a problem with getting the title company to pay them on time. Now, in your particular case, it sounds like they've been paid. Now, if it's a couple weeks ago, they have their own 30 days of turning around stuff. But if it's been more than that, then they're just dragging their feet and not
Yeah.
paying you. But just
Yeah.
for everybody to understand that signing services don't get paid in 7 days.
Right.
They're paid on a monthly basis and they're rolling over what was done the month before. So they're already behind. Then they have to reconcile that and then they can pay you.
And
There are some smaller ones that, and I work for them that pay every 2 weeks, or the bigger ones like Amrock or BankServe. They are very timely, but they're just paying out themselves. They
Mhm.
don't have to deal with a third party reconciling the stuff. So just for everybody to know, that's why it's so good to be diversified in the type of services you offer, because some you're paid at the table, some you're paid in the 2 weeks, some you're paid in 30 days, some you're waiting 60 days. And so you've always got a flow of checks coming through at different time frames and different amounts to keep your cash flow going.
And
So I hope that
that's
was
usually the case.
helpful.
I don't usually bother them because I know something is coming in, but every once in a while I have to sit down and go over my accounting records to see what's due. And that's what happened with having Notary Assist. It shows me what has not been paid. And so I saw it, I'm like, whoa, 70 days. This is kind of
Yeah,
long.
need to
And
get on
so,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for
Okay.
bringing that to our attention. That was a great discussion, great question, because I know, wouldn't you agree, Laura, that so many
Yeah.
notaries on this call have probably been experiencing that delay with payment. So thank you for bringing that up, Valdemitra. We appreciate that. Shay Farnsworth, tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
Okay, so I live in Missouri, and Missouri, in terms of guidance, I'll say, towards traveling fees, is pretty much non-existent. I've looked through the Missouri notary book, and it says, okay, this is how much you can charge for actually notarizing. And I think it's like up to $5 per signature or something like that. But it gives no guidance as to how much we're supposed to charge. Like, say, for instance, if I go 50 miles outside of St. Louis, how much do I charge for that? And I was wondering if you guys had I don't know, and of course, like the word just went bling, um, calculation of how we can do that.
How to measure your mileage for
Well,
your travel fee?
how to figure out what to charge for traveling.
Okay, Laura, do you want to
Yeah. So Shay, what
tell
was
how
your
you do
state
yours?
again?
Okay, so I live in St. Louis, Missouri, and
Okay.
we
So, and
get,
what is Missouri's requirement for travel? Do they even have one?
they don't have one.
Okay, so that means you can charge whatever the market will bear, whatever they will pay you. So you could decide you don't need to deal with mileage. And you could say, look, if it's in my neighborhood, whatever that circumference is,
Okay.
I charge this amount of money. And let's just pretend numbers out of the air. And
Okay.
I'm going to charge $30 or $25. I don't know if Missouri is spread out like Montana or if it's really tight.
Depending on how you look at it.
But in
I'm on
any
the eastern
case,
side of the
hold
state, so
on. Okay, Shay. So you choose a rate to serve your local community, your neighborhood community. And then you choose another rate that is beyond that. And then if you even are willing to go further than that, think of circles, then it would be this amount. After that, it's probably too expensive anyways. And then on top of that, you would layer that with, is it at your home or is it at a hospital or a facility? Facilities take more time. So at your home, maybe it's $30, but across the street from your home is the facility. And if I had to go there, it's going to be $50 or $75 because it takes more time with the parking, the security, and all of that. So that's a way to do it instead of mileage, unless you're in a state like Arizona where they require you to use mileage. Okay.
So Shay, I want you to take a look at the message from Tabitha in the chat and do a double check on what those travel fees are or are not supposed to
yeah, because
be.
in the book doesn't have that.
And you know, just do a little extra digging to be sure, because it looks like there might be either 50 cents, 56 cents per mileage or
Right.
$25. Now, I don't know how old 50, are we at 56 cents a mile? It's over that, isn't it?
Or yeah, it's
I
like
would hope.
62 or
So this may be an old rule, but it bears double checking to make
Okay.
sure that it's not on in your notary law that you have a limit on convenience or travel fees. And then exactly what Laura said, if there isn't one, do a little research and find out what other notaries in your area are charging so that you stay
Yeah.
competitive with them.
Okay, and then just one more quick question. Do signing companies actually look at a map when they send out signings? Because I've had some that have come up. I live in St. Louis, and Rolla, which is St. Louis is on the eastern side of the state. Rolla's on the southwest side of the state, which is probably a good 3 hours from here. And they wanted me to go to Rolla for like $75. And I'm like, do you all not look at a map?
No, they don't. I'm in Texas and I've gotten things for El Paso before, which is 10.5 hours away from me.
Oh my.
So
Okay, now I
yeah,
don't feel so bad.
they're just looking at your state. Yeah, just ignore those. They're just ignore
Okay.
those. Yeah.
Beans, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, Shay.
And
All
before we
right.
go to the next one, Jen, I just want to make it clear for everybody that when we talk about notary fees and travel fees, it's state specific. And the first thing that you should know is what are those requirements, because that's where we base it off of. And then we can add on to that when we see what else it is we're allowed to charge for. So everybody make sure that you know what that is.
You always want to stay compliant, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, of course. So one more question before we pause to bring up our special guest today. Heather, what state are you calling from and what question do you have for us?
Hi, I am calling from Ohio,
Hi.
and I just finished and got certified in the estate delivery.
Fantastic.
And so I had interviewed a year and a half ago, probably. So it has been a while, but I did 3 interviews with an estate attorney, and it became between me and one other paralegal because I'm also a paralegal.
Mhm.
So I guess my question to you, sorry, is I want to go back to that firm. Obviously, I have a relationship with them, sort of, because I didn't have a state background then. So I had different type of law that I practiced. But would you mention that, and how would you approach that, I guess, is my question.
It's a great question. Honestly, I would just call them and to let them know that you've added this new, do they know? I mean, so I kind of missed the first part. You were interviewing as a paralegal for them?
Yes, it's an estate paralegal.
Okay.
So because they have 3 offices, and one is here near me in St. Clairsville, Ohio, and then they have 2 further away up near Columbus area. And the
So
attorney was
I would call and let them know that you have taken a step farther in your career by adding on this amazing certification. Don't refer to it as CNTDA. They're not going to know what that means.
Okay.
It's an estate and trust planning certification for document presentation, delivery, and that you would love to get together and talk to them about it. And, do they have 10 or 15 minutes to set aside for you to come in and see what you can do to help their business with your new certification? That's how I would approach it. Laura, do you have a different approach that you might use?
No, I think that is a great approach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you approach it as, I want to help you because I had this interview, I thought about you, instead of give me your business, they're going to be more apt to talk to you than if they feel like you're trying to solicit them for business. Does that make sense, Heather?
Yes, because the other thing I was going to ask about is I know we have like the sample packet, and I've been practicing with that for like, to get my delivery down. And I wanted to know, because I didn't know, or as long as I don't leave it behind or anything, am I allowed to use that as and do like a mock signing with them so they could see how I would handle the situation or not? Because I know there's intellectual property rights, so that's why I'm asking.
I think it's just from the software program, isn't it, Laura, with fake names in it? Or is
I'm
it
sorry. Are you talking about the package that was included in the training?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's all fake information.
Mhm.
They're real
Okay.
documents. They're real documents with fake
Right.
information, personalized
Right. I
information.
didn't know if it would be against like your policy but I mean, as long as I didn't leave it behind, I figured it wasn't leaving intellectual property in somebody else's hands, that it would be okay.
No, I'm not sure quite how you feel like that's going to help you.
Yeah,
I'm just curious. Are
Well,
you,
if they did if they agreed to see me and they wanted to see how I would do the estate delivery of the package, just showing them how I would do it, doing a mock delivery with one of the attorneys or the paralegals in the office if they wanted to.
I got you. So, okay. So they would probably print out a dummy package from their own software program, which is probably the same one. So it'll look exactly the same thing, much like mortgages, how all mortgages look similar between different banks, because they all use the same software program. Attorneys all use the same software program for the trust and estate packages as well. Of course, there's some different documents in each state that are required, but yeah, there's no problem, Heather, using the one that we provided you. My guess is they would want to print you their own package and have you deliver that and show them that if they were going to, kind of air quote test you in that way.
Okay, thank you.
another way some attorneys do it is they have you do it in their office, a real one where they are there and they see how you do it, so that
Okay.
they have an opportunity to see you perform the job. They hire you actually to do the job, but in-house, so they could watch it before
Okay.
they would allow you to do anything else.
All right.
It's a really important point, Heather, because, we even heard that from one of our attorneys on an attorney panel in Orlando when we were at the NNA conference, that they have invited notaries to come in their office kind of as a test run, to see if it worked out well, if they got along. So that, I think is probably something, other attorney offices would consider as well, just to make sure it runs great. And by the way, I just want to tell everybody on the call today, if you are a notary business builder, tomorrow, our one of those attorneys, Jadina, is going to be our special guest on my Building Authentic Relationships call. She is going to answer questions about marketing directly to attorneys. What we need to know, what we don't need to know, what we should say, what we shouldn't say, all of those things. And that's the power. If you guys haven't found your tribe yet and joined a community, that is the power behind a community, is having these special kinds of trainings and these special guests to come in and help you better understand the estate planning business. So if you're a notary business builder, join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. It's the fastest I've ever done that. We would love to have you. And if you're interested in membership, the link for Notary Business Builder is now in the chat. I see everybody's hands up and we are going to get to your questions, guys. But first, I want to introduce you to our very special guest today. Speaking of Notary Business Builders, she is one of our faculty members. You may know her as the Queen of Apostille, Miss Judy Lawrence. Judy, will you unmute and say hi to everybody?
Oh, I thought
You're on mute.
we had an outage in the building today.
You're on mute again. Judy, you're on mute.
Oh, okay, how about now?
Okay, now you're off mute. There we go.
Yeah, nothing is working right. I was almost going to call you and tell you I couldn't do this. The phones weren't working right. Nothing. But we're
Let's
good now.
get right to it, because I know
Right
you
to it.
I know you know so many people on this call, and I know you have talked to so many different notaries across the country, trained them how to be an apostille. I want to know from the Queen herself, how did you get your start in this business?
Well, the apostille world came to me because I was getting a lot of calls for them. And I, being me, said, I should just try to find out what this is about. I had never heard of one, just like a lot of my clients now. They say, I need this thing, and it's called Apple Steel or whatever they call it. And I was curious. And so I started to do some research, and I must tell you that there wasn't a trainer like a Judy Lawrence or any of the other ones. It was just learn as you go. And I was really very lucky because I was using a courier in DC, and she was always willing to answer a question. She was always willing to take a minute and answer a question. And that's really how I learned. I call it a complicated but not complicated business because
Why do you think people are so intimidated by the process? And by people, I mean us notaries that want to get into the apostille space. Why do you think there's so much anxiety around that particular topic?
because it's something different. It's not the same thing. You've heard of notaries for umpteen years, and then suddenly somebody talks about apostilles, and people have not heard of it, and it's natural to be a little bit intimidated by something that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
So I think less and less. I think now, it's out there big time. And I think that people are getting used to understanding it. I said, I call it the most complicated, uncomplicated business. If you have a birth certificate and it's just going to go to Texas, that's one thing. But if you have 5 documents and they're going to go to Egypt, and you've got to figure out how to get them to the Secretary of State, and then the Department of State, and then, God bless their souls, the Egyptian consulate, which is just very difficult to do. And so that becomes a little more complicated, and that becomes a little more where you have to know the processes. But I think that for me, when I became a loan signing agent, that seemed complicated to me. I was nervous, and I had tags all over my documents. Don't forget to sign here, and don't forget the initial, and don't forget. I had all these tags, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going into people's houses, and I was nervous. And then a couple months later, I wasn't nervous anymore because I did 10 of them, and it was really not that complicated. I think this is the same thing. So that would be my answer.
So are you still seeing an increase in notaries that are looking for information on how to be an apostille facilitator?
I am.
And then how do you help them with that? Tell us about your training.
Well, my training is my training. I always say this. I'm sure that there are other trainers that are wonderful. You must find a trainer that you jive with, that you like them, they like you like the way they talk. If somebody's looking for a trainer that's shy and quiet and never cracks a joke, they're not going to like me. But my training is great. Going to become greater. I'm updating my course right now. I do find, and I will go out on a limb here and say that this isn't just apostees. It's fingerprinting, it's signings, it's everything. I do find that our biggest competition is the internet. I do find that many people call me now and say, I really don't need your training. I would just like to know if you could validate what I'm doing. You know, I get this all the time now because they do know my name. They know I'm easy to find.
Mhm.
And I think that we all, our biggest competition is the internet. And as I said, if you do a birth certificate and you send it up to the Secretary of State, you can figure it out. But there's a lot more to the business than just that. So
Yeah.
I hope that people, whether they take training from me or someone else, I hope that people do take training and at least understand the processes. I did have a call today from someone who said, how can I become a notary? And I told her, and she said, well, I really don't want to be a notary. I want to be a certified trust person. And
Mhm.
when I said you have to become a notary first, she hung up on me.
Oh,
So I think people read on the internet,
yeah.
decide what they want to do, and that's what I think.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
fun and I love it, and I love all my students and I love all you guys, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world.
Yeah. Well, tell us, you have other ways that you support the notary community, and one of them is with a new, it's not really a new call. You've changed the date. It's your
We
Talk
did.
About It Tuesday call. Tell us a little about that.
Oh, yes. Talk about it Tuesday, used to be Talk About It Thursday. And we, similar to this, we talk about the apostille world and we talk about people tell us what they did that week. They had a big one or they did a quote and then it didn't materialize and they want to try to figure out why for the next time. You know, there's a whole bunch of questions and we try to answer them. We also try to have guests once a month. You know, Lori's been our guest and Judy's been our guest. Experts in the business that you know they can answer questions. And it's a good room, and I think anybody that likes the business will like it. We also have something called 60 apostille minutes, and this will be our third one. July 14th. Laura's going to be one of our guests, and
Great.
it's July 14th, I think. And it's I was watching 60 Minutes one night and I thought, why can't we have 60 apostille minutes? So 1 minute to ask the question, 3 minutes to answer it. We have a timer person. She's here somewhere, Dolores. And Dolores says, you're done. And we have to move on to the next question. And it was very popular the first time and the second time. So we're going to do it again.
Nice.
And
And
yeah,
both of these are free.
yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Now,
they are both
we
free.
have, Judy, we posted the link for Talk About It Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't have your 60-minute.
I'll get it.
Can you put that in the chat, the link for
Yep.
that in the chat, so that people that want to come and learn more about the apostille process from the Queen herself, want to ask a
Absolutely.
question, you can join either one of these free training sessions. It's so generous of you to give your time to the community that way. Laura, did you have any questions for Judy before we open it up to anybody else who would like to ask her a question? All you have to do is raise your virtual hand.
Okay.
Don't have any other questions.
You know Judy so well, right? You know her background.
Jen, I have one from the chat, whether or not the 4:30 is Eastern or Pacific time for her Tuesday call.
It's 4:30. It's you end at 4:15, and we thought we'd give people a break and then come on at 4:30. 4:30 to 5:30.
Eastern time. She's talking about
Eastern.
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. All right, guys, Judy's going to hang out with us on our call,
Hey.
the rest of the call. She's going to take any of your questions. We're going to get back to our line of questions. Thank you so much, Judy, for spending a few minutes with us, sharing your background and your love of this business. We appreciate everything you do in the community, and certainly everything you do as a faculty member in Notary Business Builder. Judy's apostille certification program is included at no extra cost in your Notary Business Builder membership. So if you have a question for Judy, please raise your virtual hand, get in line. She will be here to answer it. We have John Bright in Texas. Hey, John, how you doing?
Doing good.
What's your question for us today?
Okay, before I ask my question, I have to say hi to Judy because we know each other really well. Hey, Judy. I met her in Dallas. Take her course. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were at the Frisco event with us.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah, it's a great course. Thank you for saying that, John.
Okay. This is an odd question. I am trying to boost my Google My Business page, and I'm getting reviews. Okay. My question is, who do I go to for reviews? Should it be the person that signed, the title company? If it's a signing service, do I go to them? Because I actually got one yesterday and but I don't know who it was.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll let Laura take the first stab at that one. Laura, what do you say about that? Which
I'm
route should
sorry,
you
John, you're going to need to restate your question for me.
Okay.
I have some activity happening here, so it was a little
No
distracting.
problem. I'm asking for reviews for my Google My Business page, and most of what I do is loan signings. So do I go to the signer? Do I go to the title company, or do I go to the signing service to ask for the reviews?
I would say whoever hired you.
Okay, so
So
like
it could be the
okay.
signer if it was direct, it could be title company if it was direct, or it could be your signing service.
Yeah, I don't want to bypass anyone and do a faux pas there.
I agree with Laura, John. I think whoever is the hiring party, whether it's the general public, a signing service, an escrow officer, always ask them how they found you. So you know what marketing efforts you're investing in, whether they're working or not, and ask them to please, leave you a 5-star review.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Question. Thanks for bringing that up, John.
Sure.
Bree, hi. Tell us where you're calling from and what your question is.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I'm actually from Orlando. I'm a Ron in NSA for almost 2 years now. Laura, I have your book. I have a lot of everyone's books.
That was Judy's book. Was that the Apostille book or?
Surprisable Guide.
That's
yeah,
right.
if you guys can see it. Yeah.
Judy, I should say, sorry.
I'm having some struggles as a Ron. My business is primarily e-notary, due to the fact that I have to make sure I am a mom to my son who's autistic, and that requires a certain dynamic from me as a mother. So my business is primarily e-notary. I'm on Google Business page. I have my website. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, everywhere I can try to promote myself. I've reached out to like Amrox, BankServe, and I feel like I'm coming up short, and I feel like I know I'm not getting much business, and I'm trying to figure out what the stopping point is. When I look at my analytics for my website, I'm getting foot traffic, and it seems like I'm getting like between 80 to like 100 new people who visit my website every day, but not booking a session. And I'm not sure what to do at this point. I feel like I've taken every notary course, every NSA course, Ron course that I've paid for, and I feel like I'm paying more into it than getting back. And I just wanted to see if you guys can shed some light on what I should do regarding my e-notary business.
Laura, do you want to start?
So if I understand correctly, the way they find you is on your website. You let them know that you have remote service. And on there, do you also indicate what your fees are?
My fees, how the process works. I also describe the types of documents I'm used to working. I've tried to make it very clean and seamless, since that's pretty much my brick and mortar store is my website. And they're going on my webpage, but it's like no one's booking, and I'm not understanding what the disconnect is.
And so of course, I'm not looking at your website right now, but if they're getting there and they're finding you, then that's not the issue. And then I'm wondering, is there a strong enough call to action for them to actually book?
Okay.
So sometimes, we have all this great information. Here's my fees. Here's how it works, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I've worked with. But it isn't obvious, like, well, how would I book a session? And so they leave the page because it's not obvious to them how to do that. Oh, that would be a guess on my part without seeing your website.
I think the other
So that would be my question to you is is to have somebody evaluate that. Have you taken out the friction so that it's easy for them to book and that even that you ask them to book?
So I
I
would
would have an automated calendar that they can book with. Right. Those are all the things I'd be looking for.
check into that notary calendar, Bree. Tony, who is actually on the call right now, and asked permission. I told him yes, that he could post. He's having an introduction call that's going to walk through it. So check on that, Bree. That might be something you want to look at. It's in the chat. But the other thing too, honestly, when we work on our websites or a blog post or our Google business profile or whatever it is, and we're looking at it for so long, we oftentimes don't see what's right in front of us, the obvious disconnect right in front of us because we've looked at it so much and we know in our heads what we're trying to say.
Right.
I would find 10 trusted friends, people you know that aren't going to blow smoke and be like, oh, it's great. You want to find the ones that are like, look, you missed this. You need, the ones that are going to tell you the truth, to give you honest feedback, and have them go through your website page by page, click by click, and ask them, can you take 30 minutes and go through this and tell me, I'm getting people there. People are coming to my page, but they're not booking a session and I need to know what I'm missing. Because until you have some other feedback, you're saying you can't see it. So get that out there to some trusted people that are going to be honest with you and tell you the truth, and then take that feedback and see if you're able to see what they're talking about and see if that answers your question.
And that's something we help MBB members with.
Yeah.
We've been asked to evaluate websites for MBB
all the
members
time,
to
yeah.
look for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question, Bree. And we oftentimes forget how much we are invested in like creating our own website, and we see things, or we do this. A lot of notaries do this. You talk about being a Ron notary. I'm a Ron. We all know what that means. There's 120 of us on this call. We all know what a Ron means. Hopefully we do. But I guarantee you my neighbors on either side of me have no clue what I'm talking about when I say Ron. Right? So it's also about the language that you're using. Have them look at that to make sure everything's clear. That hopefully will bring you some clearer ideas and clarity about what it is you need to do to convert the people that are already visiting your website.
Thank you. And Jennifer, I'll send you the link to my website. Thank you. I appreciate everyone.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. All right, Cynthia. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing? She's in Texas.
Hello there. So my question is for you, Jen. I'm trying to figure out if you have a list for cash outs of the title companies here in Texas. I've called a few, but I don't know. I guess I need some in different areas, like not just here in North Richland Hills. I'll need some in other areas too.
I get this question a lot, Cynthia, and in the past, I would share my resources. And because of a couple of notaries that didn't take that referral seriously, I'll decline to allow anybody I refer.
Oh, somebody messed it up for all of us. I understand.
The best thing I can tell you to do is when you're out there, Cynthia, and you're doing your pop-ins, and if you have a particularly good relationship with somebody, let's say on the east side of town, ask them if they have an office on the west side of town that they wouldn't mind creating an introduction, emailing, introducing you and the escrow officer there. Let them know your predicament. Unfortunately, yeah, the offices that I use, they're like, please don't do that anymore. One notary came in reeking of smoke and just kind of, yeah, they're like, we don't want that kind of person in our office. And I couldn't blame them.
Okay.
Couldn't blame them. So, just try and get those referrals and introductions with the folks you are. Tap into the network you already have, especially if they're in the same branch offices and on different sides of town.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You got it. Magrini, am I saying is it Don? You've got it backwards.
Yes.
It's Don, right? Okay. I couldn't
Yes.
see you in there. There is like, wait.
Well,
Where are you calling from, Don? And what's your question?
I'm calling from wonderful New Jersey.
Hey.
I got a couple things, and one is kind of like a beef, but I've been coming to these calls for several years. I've never talked. This is the first time. But anyway, I'm retired, and I've been doing this for about 5 years. And I tried to set up relationships with title companies, but down in the South Jersey area, most of them are small. Most of them are hanging on by a thread. In-house, I was never really able to get a direct relationship. So signing services have been fine. And again, I'm retired, so I'm not depending on, supporting myself completely. But again, in New Jersey, to retire, you need some more money. But a couple of things. What I've noticed is that the signing companies are really, I think, I know their business is down and out, but the fees that they're sending out is ridiculous. They're asking us to do work for $50 or $35. And, me personally, I wouldn't leave the house for that. I mean, if it was like a few blocks away, and, of course I was sitting around. But the problem is that and I really put this, plea out to my New Jersey notaries, is that if you keep accepting these jobs for $35 or $50 or whatever, it's not going to change. But if you don't accept these jobs, they're going to have to start paying somewhere close. I don't expect to be making what we used to make. And the other funny thing is that over the 5 years I was doing it prior to the collapse of our economy, our fees never seemed to have gone up. It was always at that, 100, 150, some people got two, which is unheard of, really. But the fees never had gone up in 4 years. And, now the economy is, killed us. But anyway, so I don't understand, and then one more thing. I did a closing yesterday, and I always check on the closing disclosure. And because would you go out and do this for $90, travel 35, 40 minutes, 100 pages, go out for 90. And, I'm saying, better than maybe sitting home. Oh, we need a witness. So sometimes my wife helps me out. We'll give you $125 to go out. So I figured, again, better than sitting home. I open up the closing disclosure, and they're getting $225 for the mobile notary fee. Now, I understand they have to make money. I'm a supporter of the Simon companies. They kept me good for 4 years. But $225, I mean, isn't that getting like a little greedy? So the thing is, if we all keep accepting these low rates, it's not going to change until, our economy improves, and God knows that's a whole nother story. So what do you see about that?
I think that's one way of looking at it. I think another way of looking at it is the signing services just don't have the kind of business they had before, and they have to pay their employees, and that's why they're reducing the fees. I think the other thing, and I hate saying this, and I know that there's financial constraints that they're under because interest rates are high and all those things, but the truth of the matter is, I think what they're paying notaries shows how much they value the work that we're doing, or how much they don't value the work that we're doing. Laura, what are your comments? Do you have any on this?
I think that just as there's different notaries, there are different signing services. I continue to get the rate of 150 in my rate, and I don't have any issues with continuing to get it. Now, I don't do the volume that most notaries do who focus on that. But the reason is I have a relationship with them. And so they know this is my fee. And when it's in my area and they need me, they know that's what they're going to need to pay if they want me to take care of them. Otherwise, they need to find other notaries, in the area do that. So I made a decision that I'm not going to worry about the volume of work. The work that I do get fits my model of business. So I feel like I'm in control of what I get paid rather than I'm a victim of what people offer. And same thing with general notary work, with specialty work. When somebody says, what does this cost? I say, okay, here's what it is I need to do to accomplish what you're asking, and here's my fee. And if they don't want it and they want to shop around or go with somebody else cheaper, that's fine with me. I continue doing it, and I've diversified enough that I don't rely on loan signings. But the few that I get, they're at my fee. And 2 of them are signing services. They're not title direct. The title direct sometimes is 175 or 200. But the point is when they say, you know what, I really can't afford that. I'm trying, I've got to run a business here. I acknowledge that and say, of course you do. And so do I. So let's see if we can come to something that helps us both stay afloat. Like, I think those, when you have a chance to negotiate, I would offer that as well. And then if you don't like the fees, you feel that they're unfair, then don't do that work. Find other work that pays you better, like trust work, hospital work. Find things that actually do result in a profit for yourself. Because working upside down, it can only last so long.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
Laura,
that's what I do. I bare minimum for me is $100. Now, again, if it's around the corner, of course, I'll run out for 75. But I stick to that. But guess what? I rarely get any callbacks. Somebody goes and does it for the 50 or 60 or $75.
Don, you cannot control what other notaries do. You can
Right.
only control what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I
If
just have
somebody
one
wants
other.
to work for that, Don, let them do it. Let them take it.
I got it. Yeah.
One of
Like I
the-
said, thank God I don't, solely depend on it. So,
Yeah.
and I have one other question, about scan backs. Used to be occasionally somebody wanted a scan back. Well,
Oh,
today
they all want
everybody
them now.
wants a scan
Yeah.
back.
They all want them
So,
now.
and then,
And my
for me,
answer
I
to
have a
that
good
is
scan.
no.
I have a great scanner at home, so I have to come back, scan it, and then I have to run back out to FedEx. And a lot of times I'll miss the pickup and then they get really aggravated. So I want to get a portable scanner to take with me, but it's got to be one that you can sheet feed. I can't sit there with 100 pages, or use my phone taking pictures.
Sure.
So my question is, anybody knows what would you recommend for a portable scanner?
I myself
then,
don't have one, Don, because I don't really do much loan signing work anymore either. I'm kind of
okay.
with Laura. If
Put it in the
anybody,
chat, guys.
yep, put it
Put
in
it
the
in the
chat.
chat. If you're using a portable scanner, let him hear from the crowd and he can look there.
Yeah, Don, check out that chat and
Yep.
get your advice from some of these solid notaries. I've seen some really good notaries responding with that. So thank you for bringing that up, Don. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank
Have
you.
a
It was nice
good
talking to you
one.
guys.
Yeah.
You bet.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
going to get to your question in just a moment. I want to remind everybody, and this was put in the chat earlier, about a couple of things coming up on Thursday. There is a CLIN, the California League of Independent Notaries Roundtable. It is free to attend. It is coming up at 5 p.m. Pacific time this Thursday, and you do not have to be a California notary to attend. They talk about laws and new laws for notaries all over the country. Jim Allen is going to be the special guest this week on Thursday. He's going to be talking about Google business profiles. And as you guys all know, Jim is the Google business profile guru and Notary Business Builder faculty member as well. And then also on Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, there is the Toastmasters Club. This is free to attend. I highly encourage you to take a look at Toastmasters. It's a wonderful way to learn how to speak, not only in public in front of a crowd, but maybe when you're at a networking meeting or even when you're out building relationships with other businesses in your area and trying to build your know, like, and trust factor in your community. All right, Yvette, thank you for your patience. What is your question for us today, and where are you calling from?
Oh, thank you. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Great.
And I'm also licensed as a salesperson referral real estate agent.
Okay.
So I'm trying to combine that with the notary. So for example, I spoke to one of the real estate agents and I mentioned to her that I have my notary, right? I can, and I took that loan signing
Okay.
course
Mhm.
with the National Notary Association. I've never done a loan signing. It would be my first. I'm very intimidated because I haven't even done the first one. However, when that opportunity does come up and my friend says, hey, we need somebody to notarize the documents, the loan signing documents, how much do I charge for that? I heard Laura say she uses a $150 fee.
So hang on a second, Yvette.
Yes.
Laura also has 20 years of experience under her belt.
Yes.
And she lives in Modesto, California, which is a completely different market than your town in New Jersey. The best advice I can give you, because there is no one general answer. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I get paid $250 for loan signings here. So there's no one right answer other than what your market can bear. And the only way for you to find that out, Yvette, is for you to start picking up the phone and figuring out what other notaries around you charge. See what their travel fees are, what their convenience fees are, how they have their structure set up. I would highly encourage you to dig around and start finding other notaries in your area. Don't ever look at them as your competition. They are not. That's a very limiting belief. They are your future friends and supporters and collaborators. So don't be afraid to reach out to them and find out. Laura, do you have any other advice that you would give Yvette on how to set up her pricing?
No, I think what you said is really hits it. Just know that that they have ideas about what they want to pay when you're talking about title and signing services, and they're going to say this is the range that we work with, and then you have to decide, does that fit the business that I'm in? And if it does, then great, build a relationship with them. And if it doesn't, there are plenty other fish in the sea, and continue on. But don't be miserable by saying yes to the cost, low cost leader. It's like, don't go to Walmart and then complain about who they are when you knew what they were when you went in.
Yeah.
Right. So if you start taking assignments from somebody that it's paying $30, $50, and that's not where you're at, don't complain about that because you knew that going in. Change companies, find other people.
So do I have to create a proposal or contract with, say, if I'm not working with a signing company?
No, they give you the contract and have you sign that. And I advise you to read every single word before you sign it, because some of them are quite restrictive. I'm gonna go off the rail here for just a second. So bear with me, you guys. One of the biggest disservices that has ever been done in our business is making notaries believe that they had to sign up for 150 signing companies if they wanted to make any business as a loan signing agent. And that's all you need to make a big living, is be a loan signing agent. And you're going to make all the money you need, and you're going to be turning jobs away, and 150 signings. Just sit back and wait for the jobs to come to you. Guys, that was BS advertising. It doesn't work that way anymore. If it ever worked that way, which I don't believe it did, even in the height of everything, it doesn't work that way. You have to get out. If you want to be a notary entrepreneur and be successful and make a living with your notary stamp, you have to get out and build relationships with other business owners in your community. You can no longer sit on that sofa and wait for the signing services to provide you with any kind of sustainable income. And Yvette, if you are looking for a marketing framework, I have a website that can help you with that. It's called marketingfornotaries.com. Jen's going to put it in the chat right now for us. I teach you the 5 steps you need to learn how to get out there and build your know, like, and trust factor in your community. You're not going to make any kind of significant money sitting back waiting for those texts to go off with a signing service. Can you use them to cut your teeth and get some experience? Absolutely, sure. And I encourage you to do that, but don't stay in that space for long. Get your experience and move on and start building your reputation in town. Laura, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up today?
I think we hit it all.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of Tuesday Notary Titans. We love that you're here every month, every week. We love seeing your faces, and we will see you next week on Tuesday Notary Titans. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.